Well, the year one students do a public health module, public health and health promotion. So the whole idea is that they look at an aspect of public health that they can then present on a poster. And that counts as 20% of their academic assignment as a poster. It's all about skincare, some of them looking at public health from a perspective of diabetes and obesity. So it's quite an array of things that they look at.
Coming out of lockdown, we've seen a massive increase in the prescriptions being handed out for children with anxiety and depression and all sorts. And I think I felt so passionate about it because it's quite a significant jump from what we had pre-COVID and during COVID. And it is true that these our younger generations are now returning into a foreign society. 3 years, it's a lifetime when you're young. It's fundamental growing and developing, and so I think how we handle this generation now will really, it needs to be handled delicately, because these are our future doctors, our future nurses. This is our future, and I don't know, I think sometimes medications are overprescribed when they don't necessarily have to be, and there are other alternatives. And I think that was my inspiration for breathing techniques.
Nurses' role is quite diverse. A lot of people think of nurses and they just automatically think of nurses on the wards. But nursing as a profession has massively developed because of the different roles that people now play. Year two, one of the modules that they do, which is what they're presenting today, it's a long-term condition module. And the whole idea is that they need to develop a resource for that long-term condition, whether it's multiple sclerosis, whether it's diabetes, heart failure, even HIV. And what they tend to look at from that resource is, okay, how can this resource be used or utilized in, for example, a primary care center? If we have some of the resources are posters, which the idea is after today, hopefully some of those posters could be used at the GHA.
This touches home for me because my granny had COPD, so I felt it was a really interesting topic for me to do some research and look more in depth. And I think that many people suffer COPD in Gibraltar, mostly the elderly. There are young people too, but mostly the elderly. And there's not a lot of information out there, like what they can do to help themselves at home or where they need to go to seek help. And just for treatments and things like that. All the information is up on my poster. I found it really, really interesting looking into loads of journals and researching loads of different aspects that I didn't know about COPD. And there's loads of things that you can do yourself to try and improve your own health, and other therapeutic treatments that there are out there. Not only medication, but there are other things around it to be able to improve your health.
Massive issue, not just locally, but globally.
The year threes out in practice, obviously they had 3 years of practice. During the last year, they are asked to identify a gap in the service, or a gap that they feel needs exploring further. As part of that gap, they look at a service improvement. And for example, some have identified a gap in maybe pain control or pain management. Others have looked at the introduction of wristbands in dementia patients. So they look at certain innovations that will benefit patients.
This year we've been mainly focused on management, so we're currently on our management placement at the moment. So yes, this year has definitely been more looking out for these things and critically analysing things within the organisation that we'd like to change. I decided to go for digitalising prescription charts. I feel like it's a really big issue here in Gibraltar because we're not really adapted to the modern world like other countries have. We're still using the paper form, which becomes illegible by some doctors, the handwriting issue and all of that, and they don't typically fill them out maybe correctly, not all doctors, but some. And so I found by digitalising prescription charts, we might find a way to avoid having to do that.